All right, guys, just going to look at some guillotines today. Just some basic setups that we went over. And then, of course, just chaining moves together, looking at chaining guillotines together, how the hand positions come into place, and then following guillotines through defensive reactions. So the first round, we have with Sunny here. You see the failed Systematically. Gets the head lower than mine. And that allows me to football the head right there into position. Again, another football. And these rolls are not going to be obviously competition rolls. I used to do like super hard rolls with the guys in Boston, number one, because we would ask them to do rolling footage and they would just go as hard as they could. So I had no choice. And also because a lot of people were skeptical still of how good I was, even though I had already won everything. But if you don't believe the techniques work now, just don't even buy the instructional. So there's no reason to kill myself, because I usually do like we did 12 rolls in a row, basically 12 5-minute rolls against fresh guys for this set of filming. So we do them in advance. And there's no reason for me to do 12 competition rolls in a row with fresh guys to do this footage. So I just did like a floor roll so you guys can see how it works in real time. And then if you want to see me do all these moves, just watch me in competition against the best guys and you'll see them. So that's the reason why the pace has come down a little bit over the years, because everyone knows that the moves I teach work. So this is just so you guys have a little extra to see it working in real time. You see here, using the yoke of Systematically. So you see I attempted to go into a heist. She started pressuring back into me. And see the whole thing here is to use my right elbow as I go for that yoko to crunch her chin down to her chest. So she goes to base, base, base. The left leg is posting, the right leg is lifting, and that right elbow is bringing the chin down to the chest. We can roll up and over and lock up. You see here she goes to go into a defensive roll, so she doesn't accept bottom position. I don't want to come on top because she has good knee to elbow connection. So you see when we land, as we land here, she has that knee elbow connection, so it's hard for me to come up into mount. So instead, I elected to move back down to my back, disengage the legs, and then use a back roll to come up. So now she can't put me back in guard. And I can go in, I lock up a high wrist from here, sag with concave shoulders into a seated position, and get the finish. You see she tries to come up from half guard here. Put the whizzer on. She knows the guillotine's coming, so she stopped me. I use it to go into a pass. So you see from here, we're in half guard. I use the threat of the guillotine to pull my leg on through. And now if she flattened out, it would be in side control or sliding across the mount. She elected the turtle. So we ended up in front headlock. She tries to elbow pass from here, but I have control of the arm. And you see as I fall, I'm looking to get that hip to hip connection. So see I have a high wrist here. And the second I go to sag, my whole thing, if I can, is to try to get control over the hips. Now the hips weren't quite there. She had her feet in the inside position. So I lock half guard initially. She pommels her foot in trying to extract it as she should, which she does manage to extract. And then we end up in this belly up position. shoulder roll, come up to front head, and you see right here, my fingers are just way up in front of the shoulder. And seated with concave shoulders, we get to finish with the high wrist. See a lot of high wrist. High wrist is my favorite guillotine, and the tightest by far. TG tried to go in. And shoot body lock here with the inside elbow position. Stops her. So she went to go shoot body lock, you see, trying to lock her hands there, but my inside elbow position with the right elbow allows me to stop the body lock and snap the head onto guillotine. She uses hand fighting to clear the grip. She goes to push her or pull herself back off the guillotine. And you see as she goes to pull out of the guillotine, the shoulders go behind the hips. That's the perfect time to give a good push and use it to come to top position. So the second she goes to pull out of that guillotine, the pullback reaction gives me the ability to push her backwards, come on top, and play my top game from here. Nice little ankle pick. I'm just trying to play half guard. I just drape my hand over. So I have this initial overback grip. I drape my hand over and I slide guillotine in. Switch it to an arm in. And then with control over the head and shoulders, you see, as I have the guillotine grip, I pin the head and shoulders through the guillotine grip with control over the head and the arm. And then it's just a matter of winning the leg pommeling battle to get past my partner's legs and to mount. Setting the hands up nice and high, dropping the hips and finishing. This is super subtle, but very important. You see off this failed hip bump sweep. You see I try to initially bridge, and now watch how my shoulders concave. Because right now, if I try to fit my hand in, it would hit my own stomach. But you see from here, as it goes, my hips scoot back. So you see my hips are forward. My hips scoot back. Shoulders come well forward, so my shoulders are in front of my hips. And that concave shoulder position allows me to punch in that guillotine because I have closed guard. I can bring everything up high with an arm in, standard arm in, lock up the guillotine, scoot over to the hip, and get a finish. You see here from front head. Playing a game or hand fighting, feinting, moving around, then footballing. So you see from here, I pass to the same side as the head. Right, so as I go to pass to the same side as the head from here, that initiates a turtle position on her part. The second she goes to come up into turtle position, I immediately look to form a connection. So she's worried about a guard pass from here. So to avoid the guard pass, she comes to turtle position. The second she goes to turtle, she's thinking about not getting her guard pass, fighting off the guillotine, and I'm focused on a step ahead, connecting my hips to hers. And right from here, I form that connection and get the win. This is all happening quickly, so I know I'm passing to the same side as the head. I'm passing to the opposite side as the head, rather. So I'm passing, so the guillotine is in my left hand, and I'm passing to her right side, her left side rather. So I'm passing to the opposite side of the guillotine arm. So from here, as I go to start passing, she goes to start turtling, and I throw my leg up and over, and we're ready to go. When I say passing to the opposite side, I mean I have a left-hand guillotine and I'm passing to my right. Nice transition there. So you see I football the head. I use that to go into a forward roll. On the forward roll, I'm looking to set the hands. She goes to come up into turtle position. I forward roll or backward roll on through. I set the hands and then immediately look to form a connection. She goes to stop that connection, but she drags me up. She looks to go get her knees inside, when she traps me in half guard. You see I'm using the control of the guillotine to keep the shoulders pinned, again, while I go on and pass the legs. So she ends up me trapped in half guard, but the shoulders are controlled through the head and the arm. And from here, it's just a matter of keeping the shoulders pinned, winning the leg pommeling battle, and then as the hips come in, you can go in and finish. And that was the end of that first round with Little Miss Sunny. All right, so this is round 2 here with Landon. So we go in, looking for a combination of Sumigashi, so see he tries to go body lock here. As he tries to go body lock, I put my foot on his hip to negate the body lock and him closing the distance with the inside elbow. So I have the inside elbow and I have the post on the hip. And then I was gonna think about Sumigashi there, because you see I'm controlling his elbow, but I couldn't get his head off center enough to get his forehead to the ground for Sumigashi. So instead I elected to just snap it into a football. Shoulders coming forward. He tried to run around. I heisted the front head. You see throw by there. Or from here, I circle, 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 throw, and then fit the hands in using the movement to get to a high rest position, back rolling through, then stepping over, mounting, and then when the hips come in, you get a strong finish. So he tries to come up here from half guard with the underhook. I just drape my arm up and over, and I use that to flatten him out in half. And now it's a matter of using the guillotine, thread the guillotine in the grip, and to start finagling my way past the legs into a mounted position. He times it well as I mount. So my hips are a little turned towards my left, his right. As I mount, he goes to give a strong bridge, bridges me over, but there's still hip-to-hip connection in closed guard. And then I just elected to keep it going from there. Maybe I didn't have the grip set up completely, or I had the grip set. So you see from here, I switch to the underhook, start crunching his chin to his chest to threaten Sumigashi. Come up with the Sumigashi, still have the guillotine grip, and then as he goes to pull that elbow back to clear the underhook, see, as he goes to come up, he's trying to pull that elbow down so I don't elevate it up and over his head to keep him pinned. And as he goes to pull his elbow back, my fingers slip on through. I overwrap the arm. We go high wrist. We sit, make the connection, and we're in. See from here, an open guard. I football the head. He goes to jump across the correct side, but as he does so, because it's an arming guillotine, he comes onto a Sumigashi and he can't post the right hand out because of the fact that his right arm is trapped. So he has no base of support. The Sumigashi takes him over. Comes back up to turtle. He tries to jump across again to the correct side. But as he goes to do so, I have a Yoko Sumigashi hook here. And again, because of the arming guillotine, I have more control. So if he tried to base his left hand out on the floor here, he wouldn't be able to do so because of the fact that I have it overwrapped with the arming guillotine. So the Yoko Sumigashi allows me to take him up and over. And notice here how when I hit the Yoko Sumigashi in midair, I connect my feet and I use that to keep the connection to his lower body to pull me over and get the top position. And I let it go to move to shin mount, pommel over into mount, and we get the finish. Another football. You see there he passes to the wrong side. So he passes to the side of the guillotine. And that allows me to bridge, take him over, follow him on through. We end up in a front head. I threaten Darce. I break him down. And as he pulls his elbow back to defend the darce, I shoulder roll on through. And you see here the movement is what allows me to set the hand placement. Movement is what allows me to get those deep bites that you see from there. Seated concave shoulders, the high wrist comes in to get the finish. See another football, a failed Sumigashi here to a football, concave shoulders, making it hard for him to start passing. He tried to go pass to the correct side again, but I had control over the wrist this time. So you see here, the second he goes to pass to my right, his left, I have the guillotine grip, and I have the wrist down at the bottom. So right from here, as he goes to start passing, we just tuck that hand underneath. We go concave, we go shoulder roll, we end up front headlock, ready to attack. We hit a pass off. So we hit a throw by and a second throw by, so 2 throw bys here. So you see we land. We land and we have the left hand controlling. Left hand passes to right. Right hand passes back to left. We punch everything through. We get a connection in half guard for the high wrist. And we get the win. You see that one was, he tried to come up. I timed it perfectly, actually. And the second he went to go come up from here, I dove underneath and used the movement, sacrificing top position briefly, to shoot myself underneath him and set the hand. And you see the hand comes up so deep there, past his shoulder. Now he has to roll back to bottom position. I could have finished it from there, but I switched to Anaconda. I shoulder roll back. Switch to Guillotine. He goes to pass to the correct side to get his head across where he wants it. But I grab that wrist again. Back roll through. Sit to what seems to be a high wrist here. And we get the finish. Another football. His head's on the wrong side for him. So that bridge, you see from here, starting left shoulder, looking right, or starting right shoulder, looking across left shoulder, takes him over, switching to a darce, shoulder roll back to front head, passing it off, throwing it by to the opposite side, and hitting the Olympic roll through, switching to Anaconda, using the Anaconda, the pullback, as he pulls his elbow back off the Anaconda. Using that elbow separation to expose the space between the jaw, between the shoulder and the ear, punching the hand through, rolling, moving to a high wrist. You see the fingers are up high by the shoulder there. He tries to pass but to the side control, but you can't pass the side control against the high wrist. So it ends up tapping there. See again. just draping the hand over. So you see his neck's exposed here. You see I just touch my own ribs with my thumb here. So that hand fits in perfectly. And I have the shoulders controlled and pinned. Now you have this little leg pummeling battle going on. I get to mounted position. Hips come in, chin to chest, and it's done. And that was the end of round 2. All right, so we have round 3 with our cameraman, Ty, which, by the way, some of the previous rolls, there are some fuzzies, so maybe you should get demoted. Wasn't as clear as it could have been. Out of focus here and there.
I know. It's because of the face recognition. When you turn the face away, it's trying to look for a face.
It's just because you're a terrible cameraman. Watch. Actually, Nat was the one who recorded this, right? This one will be perfect, I guarantee you.
No. I watched it.
All right, so you have football here. He tries to pass to the correct side, but you see again, I have that wrist. And you don't really ever see this. I don't want to claim that I invented this, but I've never seen anybody else do it. I started doing it in like 2014, 15, I want to say. And I started taking over like good, strong, high level, big guys. And it works like a charm. Like the second, if you can control that head and control that wrist, and the guy goes to run across the side control, and you just hit a roll over the shoulders, you can take the best guys over. And you see here, I switched to the high wrist position, but I didn't have it quite set yet. So because I don't have it completely set in the high wrist. So you see, I shoot my hand through. You see, I shoot my hand through from here. The second I shoot it through, he immediately starts to rotate. So the second I shoot it through, he starts to rotate and he brings his hand high. So now what I want is to overwrap the arm with my left arm here. But because his right hand is coming so high, the overwrap is going to be impossible. So instead of going overwrap and overhooking the arm, I go underhook and just use it to tilt him down to the side. And then I lock up. I get mounted, does a good job kipping. He kips me off. So as we come up, see, this time I threatened to go and roll him through, but he didn't crowd the head. So instead I just walked my legs out, and now we're in front head. And you actually see, the second we move to front head, it's movement. Movement gets you by the defensive hands. So my right hand has a guillotine. I move to front head and immediately, it's very subtle, I pass it off to the left hand. So right hand comes up, I throw it by, left hand grabs, shoot it through, set it, form the connection, and we hit a high wrist. So you see from here, I use my right hand to block his hip down at the bottom there. And I use that to start sprawling past his butterfly hook so his hips can't follow me. As I do that, he tries to come up and use the underhook, and I overwrap the head there. So now I'm sprawled past the legs, his hips can't follow me, so now his choice is to either 1, fall back into bottom side control, or 2, come up towards me and move into front head. And I have my hand set pretty well here, but he rolls. Instead of trying to follow him to top position, and threaten coming on to his knee elbow connection, I fall down to my back. I don't have the hand set properly for a guillotine, so I switch off to anaconda instead. And as he goes to separate the hands, I shoulder roll. I come up to front head. I make a pass off. He tries to sit on through. So you see there, that was interesting. So you see he tries to peek on me. As he tries to peek on me, I put an underhook in to avoid him getting to my back. Because what he wants on the peek out is to go ear to back, get his ear to my back, and then he wants to take his left hand and get to my far hip, which would be my left hip in this case. So you see when I kill his ability, even if he gets ear to back, if I kill his ability to get to my far hip, he can't follow my back. So right from here, as he goes to come up, he tries to get to the far hip and hit the peak, but he can't. Now from here, he's trying to build height because of the fact that he can't cut the corner with that left hand of his. So what he's trying to do is he's trying to arch backwards and come up off of his hips and use his head as a base of support on my back to build height and then come up and start wrestling from there. But because his left hand is compromised from here, he has to overextend and bring his neck into the equation as a base of support on my back. So right from here, recognizing this, as I see that chin is separating from the chest, I immediately switch back. I punch the hand in, and you see immediately here my shoulders will go concave. Here. Everything's coming in forward. And then you see my hand peek through there. Comes in, and it just is on so tight right away. So that was a pretty interesting exchange. So I stopped the peek by punching an underhook in. Because if he was just going to peek, he would have just peeked a little bit. This is where he would have done his work from. And now right from here, he would have started coming out ear to back and he would have chased the far hip. But you see my hand is blocking the underhook. So right from here, he has to start going into into a convex scenario, into a bridging motion with his body and lengthening his body to start trying to build height. And as he does that, you see immediately I switch off from the underhook to the guillotine. I concave my shoulders. See how everything's rolling forward here. Hand slips through. And we end up with guillotine, high wrist for the win. Let's see here, a few different Sumigashi attempts. I forward shifted. Doing a good job of keeping his head centered. So you see from here, I off balance with one Sumigashi just to get him off balance. I forward shift. Now I try to football here, but he keeps his head centered. And then I go to shoot for guillotine on the same side, but he recognizes this with good timing and he locks his hands in a body lock. Now right from here, I immediately start moving out to the side. This side-on position allows me to move to Yoko Senkaku, or Yoko Sumigashi positions, and start trying to fit my hand in. Now, I don't really have my hand fit in for guillotine here because he has the connection. He has a good connection with his with the body lock, making it hard for me, even with concave shoulders, to get my hand into position. But what it does allow me to do is to start moving into a heist here. Now, you see that when he tries to bring his ear up to my back, it'll be a lot harder here because my elbow position can keep his chin crunched to his chest and his head low to some degree. The grip is still pretty shallow from here, but I'm making it work. Now the grip gets a little bit deeper. So now I'm facing him. So see here, I'm facing away. The grip is shallow. The second I start facing him and moving into a concave position, the grip starts to get deeper. So you see my shoulders are hunched forward over his shoulders. So now I can fit the grip in relatively deep. Now, once the grip is deep, now I have the ability to crunch his chin to his chest. You see, the second I go, my right elbow takes the chin way down to the chest. And that lifting motion now is what takes us up and over into mount. He locks a half guard, but the hands are set, and we finish. Because again, he trying to go body lock, but I have control over the wrist. So see here, I control that wrist, so I can sit up. So now he tries to go body lock a second time, their wrist is controlled. So now, from here, I have half guard locked. Because I have half guard locked from here, I look to start tilting him, and then you see I put a left leg butterfly hook in, and the left leg butterfly hook allows me to do almost the same kind of shoulder roll that I would do if I had his wrist controlled and he jumped across the side control, which I do have his wrist controlled here, but I'm doing it almost from like a half guard position. So he's not like really inside control, but I also wasn't really in half guard. Like I didn't have his knee trapped. And I kind of combined half guard with the shoulder roll action that we did from side control, and the guy hops across and took him over into this position. Working from top side control now. He goes to come up, moves into a front head. I'm going to stand an arm and guillotine from here. And you see that chin to chest action. See, I have a connection with the lower body. And now watch my head move to the right and my right elbow move down towards the hips. That's what we want right there. And then the chin is down low. My chin is down low. My shoulders are concave. That's what we want. So you see here, we have a back crucifix. He goes to escape. And as he goes to escape, my hand comes into position. Now, as he goes to start moving around, the guillotine comes on strong. I allow him to move into turtle position. And as he goes to move into turtle position, because the arm isn't available to overwrap, I had the choice to go high elbow, power guillotine, or figure four. I just haven't showed any of those yet. So as he comes up, I like to go figure four guillotine, lock up, concave position, and finish. See a nice football there. And you see he does a preemptive defensive roll, which is actually smart on his part. The preemptive defensive roll leads me into top position. So now he's in jeopardy of having his guard passed. He has to come back to front headlock. I'm still in a position to attack the guillotine regardless. You see he tries to hit another peak there. That chin strap saves me because he can't bring his head high enough to actually get ear to back. So you see here he tries to strip the grip. As he does, I maintain the grip. And now he tries to pressure into me because we're both building height. And then you see right from here, you'll watch my right elbow crunch his chin to his chest. Here we go. And take him up and over. And this time I threaten going into cross-ashi. So see, as we landed, I threatened going into cross-ashi. And as he opened up his legs, I misdirected. Splayed my knees across and threatened going into mount. And then mount wasn't there, so I fell down into half guard trying to control his legs. He did a good job getting his legs out and away, but his head was on the wrong side. So because his head's on the floor now, an easy bridge will take him up and over. I tried to go shoulder roll, but he didn't want to roll all the way through. So we stay in this and belly up position where I can lock anaconda, and then we play the anaconda off of the failed guillotine attempt and get the anaconda for the win. If he would have pulled his elbow back from the anaconda, then it would be just a matter of opening up that arm, rolling through the front head, and then punching in a high wrist or high elbow position. And that was the end of that round. All right, so fourth and final roll. And keep in mind here, the theme is combining guillotine with different changes in position. Okay, and if you notice, a key theme here is I'm setting the hands on the guillotine through movement. The movement is what allows me to set the hands properly. So just, as we're kind of finishing up here, and you guys are watching this, just, go back and, as you rewatch these, just look at the movement and look how the movement allows me to set the guillotine properly. See, snap to a football again. He goes to run across the side control, and the wrist allows me to back roll up and over the shoulders. And from here, I transition into an arm in, standard arm in. He tries to go into a thumb post, but I managed to lock close guard up. So you see from here, I have that standard standard arm in. You see the second Reese goes to come forward, even a little bit. It's subtle. He doesn't go into a full-on tripod or a 4-point. But you see just from here, the second his hips come up even slightly and his knees come off the floor, I transition from butterfly, 1 comes over, 2 comes over, into full guard. And now you see concave shoulders, hands nice and high, chin down right by the back of his neck. And it comes on tight. Let me get the win. See a football there. We end up in half guard. Now I use the control of the guillotine to start pushing his knee down from here, wedging him in place. And you see from here, my knee's trapped. So I bring a knee wedge in with my right knee across his hips That allows me to extract the leg and then post on the hip. Then as I post on the hip, he elects to give a bridge into me because my hips are high. So I'm not super stable from here. So as he goes to bridge, he does, but he comes onto that hip-to-hip connection with the arm and guillotine. He tries to push the knee down, but he gets forced into half guard from here. And then as he gets forced into half guard, the pressure comes on. And then from half guard, he has to go into a high tripod from here. And as it goes into a high tripod, then my leg comes back over the top. You get the hip-to-hip connection again. And then he tries to hop across to the opposite side. But as he goes to do that, my right leg blocks his knee. And he comes onto a sumigachi to the other side. And that ends up with me in a mounted position. And we get to finish from there. And close guard now. And you see again, failed hip bump. So as I come up, I have the wrist so he can't body lock right away. Now my hips are high. Now watch right from here, hips come back as my shoulders concave. So you see my shoulders are well behind my hips. Hips come back. So my shoulders are more or less on top of my hips. Shoulders come in concave. That sets the hands. We lock up close guard as we were in previously, shrimping off the mat to get a adjustment. And you see he pops his head out, which I'm pretty sure I just let go so we can chain some moves here together. You see as he has to pop his head out from the guillotine, he pops his head out, but he comes onto a clamp and then subsequently a triangle. I let go of the triangle, back to open guard, another football. This time he has a body lock in place. You see the second he puts the body lock in though, the main danger for me is he's going to jump across. So the second you see he goes body lock, and this is important, the second he goes body lock, watch my left leg. It moves across to the opposite side hip. So my right foot kicks the knee out. My right foot kicks that knee out. So you see his knee physically moves back because my foot's pushing it. And I put a blocker across his hips with my left leg. So now if Reese tries to hop across, he can't because my left leg's blocking him. That gives me the angle that I need to start forming that connection. And then he goes to roll, but the roll's a little bit late. As he goes to roll, my right leg's already over, and that carries me into top position. I can follow him with the arm in and get a strong finish. Another snap. This time he goes body lock, goes to start passing. We use that wrist again to shoulder roll on through, and this is such a money move. It looks so good when you hit it too. So he goes to roll, he goes to pass, roll him on through, bump the front head, and now you see the second we land in front head, there's no defensive hands, and I hit that pass off. So you see I have a right-handed guillotine here. Notice the second we land, left-hand guillotine comes in. We get that high wrist. We pull him in. He tries to pass. The whole time he's getting strangled. Even though he passes side control, can't pass the side control against the high wrist. You see from there, I threatened to pass to the opposite side of the guillotine. Okay, so his guillotine, my guillotine's on my right hand, and I'm looking to drive my left knee across, but his butterfly hook is in. So from here, I can't beat the butterfly hook, so I need to slide across to the same side. So I'm passing to my right, and his guillotine is on my right-hand side. So you see in this position, we can pin him because of the underhook, and we use the thread of the guillotine to knee slide on through, because the number one thing you need to pass the side control is a cranial shift. You need control of your partner's head and shoulders. So from here, I made the cranial shift in the form of a guillotine before I passed the legs. So you see the guard pass actually started right here, where I get control over his head. That's the cranial shift before passing the legs. Passing the legs comes second, and now move a strong pin and side control, ready to work, and we have the guillotine exposed as well. And as I let him bridge on top of me, you see I was trying to set the high elbow here, just to give you guys some different variations. I was trying to set the high elbow. It didn't work. It wasn't set properly. So I switched back to Sumigaeshi, took him into bottom position, and then I set the elbow over the shoulder and finished the high elbow from mount. So I wasn't properly set. I switched to Sumigaeshi, created movement, set the elbow properly, and then got him up and over into mount and finished from mount. Another football.
Sure.
And you see he goes to pass the side control here, but he doesn't really fully commit to chasing my head. So we end up back and front head.
Okay.
Go low elbow. We form that connection, shifting him out to the side. Get that hip to hip connection, and we get the win. I'm just trying to give different guillotine options because my go-to is obviously high wrist, but these are some other ones. You see there again. This is a failed roll through and then a failed heist. So you see a dilemma game here, where from here, I try to take him through, fails. Now I try to heist here. He pushes back into me and that fails. And then I roll him through a second time. So back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then he tries, as we come on top. He doesn't want me to go high wrist, so he opens up the elbow. So as he does, he comes onto an underhook, which leads me back into a Sumigaeshi, which ends me up in 3/4 mount. And then from there, using the thread of the guillotine to free the legs, he rolls over with an arm in. We make the adjustment, and everything's tight, and we get the finish. Thanks. Chest come up underhook. You see again, diving almost completely underneath Reese from here. So you see right from here, the second he gets start to come up, I shoot my body, I shoot my shoulder through and all the way underneath to set that hand in properly for the high wrist. And now right from here, he comes on top. He's scrambling towards my hips. He's like, oh, I got top position. But he comes onto that hip to hip connection with the high wrist. He passes to the wrong side. Side control either side is a death wish, but he passes to the wrong side in side control and ends up getting tight, and he taps. Football to rolling through into front head. He goes to pass. Let's take a look at this here. This is interesting. So from here, I try to roll him through, but he's hip to it now. So as I come back up, watch what I do. My right hand has the guillotine. I come up, instead of heisting the front head, I pass off to my left hand. So now it's a left hand guillotine. So now if he wants to pass me into side control, he's got to run all the way around to the other side from here. And that high wrist is already in, and it just gets so tight from there. So I chain together a failed roll through with a failed heist into a throw by, pass off to the other hand, and then finish with the other hand. And this is the fourth and final match. And if you look at these guillotines, the number one way to break through defensive hands is some kind of distraction, some kind of diversion, some kind of deception, where your opponent is thinking about movement in other places, whether it be a roll through, whether it be a guard pass, whether it be they're thinking about something else. And as they're thinking about something else, that's when the hand comes in for the guillotine. My biggest question I get on guillotines is I feel like I can never set the grip properly. Use movement to set the hands. Okay, if you're just fighting here, it's two hands, two of your offensive hands versus two of their defensive hands, and they have their jaw tucked so you can't get underneath. Whereas when you're using movement, their hands are on you. Their hands are trying to body lock. Their hands are on the leg. Their hands are reaching for you. Their hands are posting on your elbows. Their hands are posting on the floor. Their hands are anywhere but defensively set for your offensive hands to encounter your offensive hands. And so movement is really what's going to get you into these guillotines and get your hand set properly. And if you have the initial guillotine, if you have the initial lock, but you feel like it's not set to actually get a submission, just create movement, and the movement will allow you to set the hands more properly, or switch off into other guillotines, other submissions, or advance you in a positional play. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. On to the next one.